The target was buried deep inside enemy territory. No backup, no second chance, and if they were caught, the government would deny everything. This is the story of one of the most dangerous missions ever carried out by the Navy SEALs. In the dead of night, somewhere over the mountains near the Afghan-Pakistan border, two black helicopters moved silently through the darkness, carrying one of the most elite military units in the world, the U.S. Navy SEALs. Inside the aircraft, nobody spoke. The only sounds were the engines, weapons clicking softly into place, and the breathing of operators preparing for what could become a suicide mission. Intelligence reports claimed a high-value terrorist commander responsible for organizing attacks against American forces was hiding inside a heavily fortified compound protected by armed fighters and hidden tunnels. Satellite images showed walls reinforced with steel, machine gun nests on rooftops, and escape routes leading deep into nearby caves. Previous attempts to locate the target had failed, and several intelligence assets had disappeared without a trace. Tonight was different. The SEALs had one opportunity to infiltrate the compound, capture the target alive if possible, and extract before enemy reinforcements arrived. The mission had been classified at the highest level, known only to a handful of military leaders and intelligence officers in Washington. If the operation failed, the consequences could ignite an international crisis. As the helicopters crossed into hostile territory, the pilots dropped dangerously low to avoid radar detection, flying between mountains only meters from the rock walls. Suddenly, warning alarms flashed inside the cockpit. Enemy spotters on the ground had likely heard the helicopters. One of the pilots turned to the team leader and shouted over the noise that they had less than 5 minutes before hostile fighters would begin searching the area. The SEALs checked night vision goggles and loaded suppressed rifles. Every man on board knew the compound could contain dozens of armed guards. The aircraft reached the landing zone, a dry riverbed nearly 2 kilometers from the target. The operators fast-roped into the darkness and disappeared into the rocky terrain while the helicopters pulled away to wait for extraction orders. Moving silently through the cold night air, the SEALs advanced in 2 teams. Drones overhead scanned the area for enemy patrols, while a sniper unit climbed higher into the mountains to provide overwatch. Halfway to the compound, one operator raised his fist signaling movement ahead. Through thermal optics, they spotted 4 armed guards approaching along a narrow path. The SEALs quickly hid among the rocks, allowing the patrol to move within meters, before silently eliminating them with suppressed shots. The bodies were dragged into the shadows, and the mission continued. As the team approached the outer perimeter, they noticed something unexpected. The compound was larger than intelligence reports suggested. Additional buildings had been constructed behind the main structure, and several trucks loaded with weapons were parked inside. This was more than a hideout. It was a command center. The team leader radioed command requesting satellite confirmation, while explosive specialists prepared charges for the outer wall. Seconds later, headquarters responded with new information. Intercepted communications indicated the target planned to leave before sunrise. If the SEALs delayed even a few minutes, the mission would fail. The team leader made the decision immediately. They would breach now. Explosives detonated against the compound wall, sending debris into the air as the SEALs stormed inside under cover of darkness. Chaos erupted instantly. Enemy fighters opened fire from rooftops and windows while tracers ripped through the courtyard. The SEALs moved with terrifying precision, clearing rooms one by one using night vision and suppressed rifles. Grenades exploded inside hallways as operators pushed deeper into the compound, searching for the target. One team discovered hidden tunnels beneath the building, while another located a communications room filled with maps, radios, and laptops containing valuable intelligence. Suddenly, heavy machine gun fire pinned down several operators near the central building. An enemy technical vehicle, mounted with a large caliber weapon, rolled into the courtyard, spraying bullets across the walls. The SEALs took cover behind concrete barriers while the team leader called for air support, but command informed him aircraft were too far away. They were on their own. A breacher grabbed a rocket launcher from his pack, leaned around the corner, and fired directly into the vehicle, destroying it in a massive explosion that lit the compound like daylight. But the blast alerted enemy fighters across the valley. Radio intercepts confirmed dozens of militants were now moving toward the compound from nearby villages. Time was running out. The SEALs pushed into the main structure, where intelligence believed the target was hiding. On the second floor, they encountered fierce resistance from heavily armed guards wearing body armor and carrying automatic weapons. Bullets tore through walls while flashbang grenades exploded in narrow corridors. One SEAL was hit in the shoulder, but continued fighting as medics treated him on the move. Finally, the team breached a reinforced steel door at the end of the hallway and entered a hidden room illuminated only by computer screens and maps spread across large tables. But the target was gone. In the center of the room, a tunnel entrance descended underground into darkness. Fresh footprints covered the dirt floor. The terrorist commander had escaped into the tunnels only minutes earlier. Without hesitation, the team leader ordered pursuit. Operators descended into the narrow underground passage, knowing it could be booby-trapped or collapse at any moment. Above them, enemy reinforcements were closing in fast. The deeper they moved underground, the weaker their communications became. Then suddenly, the point man froze. Wires stretched across the tunnel walls, connected to explosives hidden beneath the dirt. The enemy had prepared the tunnels as a death trap. The SEALs carefully disarmed the first device. But before they could continue, a distant explosion shook the ground above them. Enemy fighters had begun attacking the outer perimeter, and the sniper team reported being surrounded on the mountainside. The mission was rapidly spiraling out of control, and somewhere ahead in the darkness, the target was still escaping. The tunnel shook violently as dust rained from the ceiling, and distant gunfire echoed through the underground passage. The SEAL team moved deeper into the darkness, with only infrared lasers and night vision guiding them forward. Every few meters they discovered more traps hidden inside the narrow tunnel system. The enemy clearly expected an assault someday and had prepared for it for years. Behind them, radio transmissions became weaker, while above ground the firefight intensified. The sniper team positioned on the ridge reported waves of enemy fighters advancing toward the compound from multiple directions. Ammunition was running low, and extraction helicopters were still at least 20 minutes away. Inside the tunnel, the operators reached a split intersection. One path led downward into complete darkness, while the other showed signs of recent movement, including discarded magazines and fresh boot prints. The team leader divided the operators into two smaller elements despite the danger. Time mattered more than safety now. One group would search for the target, while the second attempted to locate an exit route before the entire tunnel network collapsed around them. As they advanced deeper underground, they discovered storage rooms packed with explosives, weapons crates, cash, and intelligence documents connected to terrorist cells operating across several countries. This was no ordinary hideout. It was a hidden headquarters capable of coordinating attacks around the world. Suddenly, one operator heard voices echoing ahead. The SEALs killed their lights and slowly moved forward until thermal optics revealed several armed guards escorting a man through the tunnel. The target was attempting to escape. Without hesitation, the SEALs launched a lightning-fast ambush. Suppressed rifles flashed in the darkness as guards fell instantly, but the target disappeared behind a steel security door that slammed shut seconds before the operators reached it. Breachers planted explosives while others covered the tunnel entrances, expecting counterattacks at any moment. The charge detonated with a deafening blast, tearing open the door and filling the corridor with smoke. Beyond it lay a hidden underground bunker powered by generators and protected by reinforced walls. Computer servers lined the rooms while armed fighters opened fire from defensive positions. The SEALs pushed aggressively through the bunker using grenades and coordinated room-clearing tactics practiced for years. The battle underground became brutal and chaotic. Visibility was nearly zero. Muzzle flashes illuminated concrete walls while alarms screamed throughout the facility. One operator was knocked unconscious by a nearby explosion, but dragged himself back into the fight moments later. Finally, the team reached the central command room where the target stood cornered beside a table covered in maps and encrypted devices. For a split second, both sides froze. Then the terrorist commander reached for a weapon hidden beneath his jacket. Multiple shots rang out and the target collapsed instantly. Silence filled the room except for heavy breathing and crackling radios. The mission objective was complete, but survival was far from guaranteed. Above ground, the situation had become catastrophic. Enemy reinforcements had surrounded the compound from every direction, trapping the sniper team and damaging one of the extraction helicopters with gunfire. The SEALs quickly gathered intelligence materials and prepared to exfiltrate through a secondary tunnel exit leading into the mountains. As they moved through the escape route, the bunker suddenly lost power. Emergency lights flickered red across the walls, while a timer appeared on one of the captured computer screens. The entire underground complex had been rigged to self-destruct. The enemy intended to bury everyone inside, including the SEALs. The operators sprinted through collapsing tunnels carrying wounded teammates, while explosions thundered behind them. Rocks crashed from the ceiling as shockwaves ripped through the underground passages. One operator became trapped beneath debris, and for a terrifying moment the team considered leaving him behind to save the others. Instead, they stopped under enemy pursuit and lifted the rubble together, dragging their teammate free seconds before another explosion collapsed the tunnel behind them. Emerging from the mountainside into freezing night air, the SEALs found themselves directly in the middle of enemy territory, with dozens of hostile fighters searching nearby. Overhead, one damaged helicopter limped toward their position, while the second aircraft provided cover fire using mounted weapons. Tracer rounds ripped across the valley as the operators fought toward the extraction point. The wounded were loaded first, while others formed a defensive perimeter, firing into the darkness at approaching enemies. Rockets exploded around the landing zone, and one helicopter nearly crashed, attempting to take off under heavy fire. Finally, both aircraft lifted into the air just as massive explosions erupted from the compound below, destroying the hidden bunker forever. As the helicopters disappeared into the night, the exhausted SEALs sat silently covered in dust, blood, and smoke. The mission had succeeded, but several operators were badly wounded, and the classified operation would never officially exist. Back in Washington, intelligence analysts spent months studying the captured data, uncovering terrorist networks, and preventing future attacks around the world. The public would never know the full story. No medals would be shown on television. No press conferences would reveal the truth. But somewhere deep inside classified military archives, the operation remained recorded as one of the most dangerous missions ever carried out by the Navy SEALs.